Dr. Jeffrey Halstead has been Canandaigua's hometown dentist for more than 35 years, offering routine dental care as well as cosmetic dentistry, implants, and dentures by their highly trained and experienced staff. Visit them online at canandaiguadentistry.com or find them on Facebook and Instagram.
Welcome into Fresh Takes with Russo and Felice. I am Paul Russo. Appreciate everybody for stopping by, tuning in, the fun stuff like that. It is Wednesday. Nick Felice in the house with me as usual. Nick, I haven't seen you since literally Thanksgiving. It's crazy. How was, your trip to New York? How's the week been for you so far?
Yeah, it was a great trip to New York. What a game. Went to the next game on Friday night in-season tournament against your beloved Miami Heat. The Heat were up 21 points in the middle of that third quarter. And unfortunately, they did not hang on, and they lost by 2. And it was a great game. You were at the best baseball game I've ever been to. It was the walkout grand slam.
That's true.
That was the best basketball game I had ever been to. So it was really cool to be a part of that. And, yeah, it was a great weekend. I enjoyed myself. It was just me and my brother went down there. So
Your dad didn't end up going?
No, he was a little sick.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
He thought he might be better, but he wasn't. Feeling better now, but no, he didn't make the trip. Just the two of us.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it was a good trip. How was your weekend?
Can't complain. Syracuse won. It's a positive.
Bowling?
Yeah, we're going bowling, second year in a row. I haven't been able to really say that in my lifetime, so looking forward to that. Depends. We'll see how everything shakes out.
Well, you've never seen back-to-back bowls?
Not for Syracuse. Well, I mean, it has happened technically in our life.
You weren't really a fan.
Right.
You were just a little boy.
Right. So, yeah, we'll see. I think they, for whatever reason, do end up in the Pinstripe Bowl, which they shouldn't / won't be going to it. If they go to Boston for the Fenway Bowl, I might go. If they go to Annapolis for the Military Bowl, might go. But, yeah, not looking great for the grand scheme of it for bowl. But, yeah, hey, we'll touch on Syracuse again, though, in a little bit, obviously. So we'll circle back to that. By the way, Nick, you saw that nice little ad run at the top. So we thank Dr. Jeffrey Halstead for the support there. Also want to thank Chino's Pizzeria and Restaurant for their support as well. You can visit Chino's Pizzeria and Restaurant at the original Waterloo location or the all-new renovated location in Geneva, a fan favorite, by the way, of one Nick Felice, as we've said before. You can dine in, take out, delivery, catering, and banquets, or order online at Chinos.com. Live, laugh, and eat well. It's the Italian way. So
shout out to Chinos. We'll be there next Friday. Me and your brother will be there next Friday for our high school reunion.
Oh, that's right, the Waterloo location for that.
Yes, next Friday.
Crazy. Yeah. So let's start with the NFL. Get into it. I do want to start with the Thanksgiving games on Thursday, and then we can kind of jump into some other stuff there as the weekend kind of unfolded. I thought, honestly, I'm intrigued to see your thoughts on this. I thought it was a pretty rough few games overall. Wasn't exactly a great viewing experience once again for Detroit on Thanksgiving. I guess some things haven't quite fully changed there yet, admittedly. Dallas and Washington was a bloodbath, which we kind of, I figured on happening. You didn't. We'll obviously have our picks here in a little bit. And then, San Fran, Seattle. San Fran wins. But, I mean, was that the best game of the bunch, you think, maybe? I mean, in terms of just, football all the way around in terms of Thanksgiving Day?
Unfortunately, I think it was the Lions game.
You still think that?
Yeah, the other two were pretty bad.
Yeah.
I mean, Washington played well in that first half a little bit.
I guess.
But, I mean, I don't know. Everyone's got different traditions with Thanksgiving. To me, it's just about the atmosphere. Yeah, all 3 games were pretty terrible. They were not great. But, I mean, it's just, having it on, having the Thanksgiving festivities going on. I think that's the whole point of the day. I mean, people are usually passed out by the time this night game comes around anyway. So that's the reason why they didn't have a night game for so long, because people were just sleeping after a long day of eating and drinking with your Thanksgiving festivities. But if you want me to actually critique the games,
You don't have to. Just your general thoughts.
they're terrible, Paul. They're awful.
Yeah.
I'm saying the Lions won because the other two were just. I mean, Seattle was terrible too. So I'm going to go to Lions one because they kind of hung around a little bit late.
I guess, yeah.
A little bit. And Washington absolutely collapsed in the second half. So yeah. But I enjoyed the day. I enjoy them every year. Those games.
Yeah, we'll save the Washington coaching thing here for when we get to the Frank Reich and the NFL coaching carousel kind of beginning. Or well, I guess it already started, but we're now in the more traditional phase of kind of
Black
seeing.
Friday game was kind of cool though.
Yeah, that was my next move here a little bit. Jets look decent early on, but Miami pulls away.
Apparently, I heard Rodgers coming back today.
Yeah, I don't know. He's practicing, but what do we mean by practice? We'll touch on a
Did he
couple.
even have an Achilles injury?
I don't know. I want to touch on a couple different practice things here today anyway that happened earlier
Talking
today.
about practice?
Yeah, practice. But again, I didn't think it was another not great game on a not prime time slot by any means, right? 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Black Friday, but that was Prime's game for the week. And just didn't meet, I think, what they were hoping for expectation-wise, but what games have this year, in a sense, for those. So, I don't know. I'm guessing we'll probably see that again next year, right? A Black Friday game, but I don't quite see the need for it, especially if it's going to be a game like that where it's like, I am whelmed. It wasn't great.
It wasn't Bears-Vikings, obviously.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean that game, whatever. But to me, just didn't get a good opening 4 games, I guess, to the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many times a pick six has happened on a Hail Mary, but that was kind of interesting to see. I unfortunately did not see this. Did not realize that our hotel room had Amazon Prime till Saturday.
Wait a second. Your hotel had Amazon Prime?
It did. But we didn't know until Saturday, so I never did watch it. I was kind of shocked that we had it.
Right.
Great hotel, to be honest with you. They had a 50-inch TV in the hotel room.
Where was it?
Couple blocks away from Empire State.
Yeah, but what?
Oh, Hilton Garden.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, pretty nice.
Anyway.
A little expensive, but
well, it's New York City. That'll happen.
You say 4 bad games to start. There's been a lot of bad games this entire season.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's just we have more bad teams, just bad football. I mean, we're getting good games. We're getting some, but we're getting too many terrible games.
Yeah.
And we had another one on Monday. There's been plenty in the past so far, and we have so many more weeks to go. I don't know. Hopefully we don't get any in the playoffs. Most likely we could because, get that 7-2 matchup now. It's a mediocre 7 season. I mean, last time I heard the Colts are in right now.
Yeah.
So that's not good.
No.
Not good for the product of the sport, but the sport will be fine. I mean, we're not worried about the NFL marketing.
I think for that too, it's a lot of just. I mean, you just have such a bigger talent pool now, just kind of by, I guess, sporting evolution. Anyway, I mean,
A lot of injuries, so you got a lot of backups playing.
It's funny because we haven't. I mean, we could have talked about it last week. We didn't, and I don't really want to talk about it because Tom Brady talks about quarterback play just isn't good. Tom, you were at the end there. You were part of it. It's just a lot of mediocre guys. But like you said, injuries have played a part of it. I mean, I don't mean to say it comically, but it's we almost lost Baker Mayfield this week and that would have been another starting quarterback out for the rest of the year potentially.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just crazy to think about. And that plays a part in it too. I think, like I said, just the talent now is just so not even so much spread out. It's just that everybody's kind of just on a similar athletic level in a way that you can't really pull too far ahead or too far behind in a sense. I mean, the Bears win Monday night in about an ugly way, and again, Minnesota minus Kirk Cousins, as we all know, but have been playing well. And the Bears go out there, and I don't know if they were the better team necessarily, but they won. Like, you have to go out there and play the game. So, yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's so much too, like, I know we've only had one season of it, whatever, but is the season too long in a way, in a sense? Like, already, like, guys are starting now more or less mid-July for training camps and everything, and going until, I mean, potentially middle of February, more or less, nonstop.
It's also long,
Yeah.
and they cut preseason games, so you're not prepared.
Right.
You know, it's a whole process. I mean, that's why spring training, baseball, they have this long spring training because you got to get in the rhythm. You cut in preseason game, that's only 3 preseason game, and 1 they don't barely even play in.
And the preseason schedule is 2 hours. Like, have you noticed how erratic they are?
Yeah, they get
It's
that
like you
bye.
could-
You get a bye week after it's
Well,
over.
you're also, like, you could be playing on, like, a Tuesday, and then the next week you're playing, like, on Sunday, and then for, like, the third week of preseason, like, you don't play until, like, Wednesday, potentially. It's weird how, like, erratic it is.
Yeah.
And you talk about
Can't get in a rhythm.
you talk about baseball, right? That's a good point, though. Baseball, you're playing every day in spring training like it is, like, in the regular season. Like, there's a rhythm there.
Mm-hmm.
And while you don't play, like, 3-game series like you do in baseball in the regular season, you're at least typically playing 2 at home and then 2 on the road and then 2 back at home and then 2 on the road. But the repetition of in and out is there.
Yeah, they get you really prepared for the season. NFL, they're getting away from it a little bit, and I mean that's not the reason they're getting hurt, but
I mean, it could be part of it, yeah.
But it's not the main reason they're getting hurt. But just losing too many stars. I mean, you got the quarterbacks of crazy numbers this year. How many quarterbacks are hurt? But then it's not even them. It's running backs, Nick Chubb, receivers, Justin Jefferson. These are some of the
Jonathan Taylor again.
Yeah, these are some of the biggest names in the sport, which allows the backups who didn't earn the spot to be the starters here playing now, creating bad football. And that's what we're getting. So injuries is definitely a huge part of why we're getting so many bad games. But I don't know. It's just I don't know how you fix injuries,
You don't.
They're kind of freak things, so
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it, too, is, like, we've talked about since pretty much the start of this podcast, like, how football has just kind of gotten away from being, like, really great to just a lot of, like, kind of just middle-of-the-road stuff. And, like, I remember sitting here during the COVID year talking about, like, and that, obviously that's a little bit different, right? But, like, I remember sitting here at the COVID year talking about how it's like, is this really actually good football we're watching, or is it just kind of like the way it is now? And looks like it's just kind of the way it is at the moment. And everything ebbs and flows. Talking to a couple people, I know this is more on the college side of things, but, like, you're seeing a lot more teams at the college level kind of go back to this, like, run heavy because everybody's prepared to do a lot more on defense pass-wise. So, like, it's a lot of it's just, like, zig and zag type stuff where you're trying to figure out, okay, like not to be whatever, right? But, like, Cam Newton, like, that style you're aiming for, it's really good on the ground, really good at passing. Like, we haven't seen that a ton the past couple drafts. Like, and I know it's one of those things where it's like, okay, but C.J. Stroud can run if he needs to. Bryce Young can run if he needs to. But, like, they're a lot more in the pocket, like, I guess, the way it was, in a sense. So, I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, to me, I think it's just one of those ebbs and flows type thing. Like, we could be sitting here, wherever we could be sitting, talking about this in 3 years, and we might be talking about how it's like a low end on the quarterback range for passing now is 450 yards a game. Like, you just don't know.
that would be crazy.
Yeah. Fast forward, let's get ahead to Sunday. I think the main talking point there has got to be the Bills-Eagles game. And that was probably the best game all weekend. Sloppy game weather-wise and ended up kind of translating to maybe some stuff on the field, but all things considered, home run of a game, stuck in the late window. Would have been nice to maybe have that as one of the prime time games this week, but can't pick and choose just yet, unfortunately. We're a week away from that still.
Really? One more week?
I think maybe 2 technically, but either way. Bills Eagles blew that game. No way around it. And it's tough to blame maybe some players in this situation. But I brought this up on Monday, and I'll say it again here. The Bills have been playing fast and loose the past couple of weeks on defense, like not great tackling, and some of the stuff came home the roost this weekend against the Eagles. It wasn't a true prevent defense that Sean McDermott was having there towards the end, but, prevent defense prevents you from winning. That's my philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
I hate prevent defense. You saw what happened, and we'll talk about it a little bit. Right? You saw what happened literally the day before with Auburn, and you still allowed a guy to get open in that scenario. And while it wasn't the scenario necessarily with Philly, you left a wide open field in the middle for Jalen Hurts, who, guess what, can run and not afraid to run. So, and there were some coaching decisions that you scratched your head at with the Bills as well there at the end. And, well, maybe through the whole game, to be honest. Because for what is now the for sure best team in the NFL and the Eagles in my mind, they didn't exactly play great once again. Like, it's one of those things where you have to put them number one, I think, but it's only because everybody around them might be just kind of shooting them in the foot. And now they just find themselves at the top of the heap at the moment.
They're very good, but their secondary is kind of weak.
The Eagles?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a top 5 run defense, and a very, quite literal middle of the road. I think they're 16th now in passing.
Yeah,
defense.
that's their weak spot right now.
Mhm.
And I just don't. The prevent defense is just. Why do people put it on when you're up 3? Like, the point of the prevent defense, the reason it's even in football, is when you're up 4 and the team's trying to get a touchdown to win the game. So you don't try to push them out of bounds and let them throw in the middle of the field. That's the point.
Right.
That's the point of the prevent defense. I don't know why they do it when they need a field goal. I get the conditions.
Hold on.
Crazy kick. Jake Elliott never seems to effing miss. He just doesn't.
You know who's been missing a lot lately, not to get off topic? Your supposed GOAT.
Yeah, he
Justin Tucker.
has been missing a lot lately. But he is the GOAT.
No, he's not.
He's going to be the all-time kick leader. If
You
he,
say that to Sebastian Janikowski.
that guy had a leg. But, Jake Elliott, man, I can't stand him because he's an Eagle. But how did he make that kick? I mean, he did it how you're supposed to in that type of conditions. Have a line drive kick.
Mhm.
Don't let the wind get involved. And he made it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was heartbreaking, but Bills got the ball to start overtime. It's not like they didn't have their chances. They kicked the field goal. They just can't stop them. And the Bills, obviously, they have so many big key injuries on defense, and it's going to be their downfall. But hearing that the Colts are in the playoffs gives the Bills life today.
Yeah, I mean, the door's open for them still, but
what's
it's still not looking good. Like they can't keep playing the way they've been playing and expect to get in at this point. That's not how it's going to work. They have the 3rd toughest schedule still down the stretch. Still have to go to Miami. They still have New England. I mean, they come out of the bye week this week, and they have Kansas City and Dallas back to back. And I think out of the remaining 5 games for them, 3 of them are on the road, and they're now 1 in 4 on the road, or it's 1 and 4 on the road. But like if you want to include your England game, even though they were technically the home team, it's 1 and 5.
And they're trying to get a 7 seed, which plays on the road the whole playoffs.
Yeah.
And they're not a type of team where it's like, oh, we get in, we got a shot. No. They get in, they're probably going to be gone in the first week.
It's uphill now, no matter what for them.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because, I mean, in terms of talent, now me and you are not Bills fans by any means, but it's a shame because you look at them like they do have a lot of talent. It's hard to discredit what that team has on paper. The fact of the matter is, I think the coaching staff is kind of failing them at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we said at the beginning of the year, and I did especially, but, like, is McDermott the guy for the future at this point? I think if you are not having that conversation in Orchard Park right now, you're probably setting yourselves up to just do this all again in 2024. And quote Waylon Jennings, you ain't living long like that. You aren't. Josh Allen's not getting any younger. Probably isn't getting any healthier at this point, to be honest. I mean, you're going to have to deal with some questions, I think, coming into this offseason.
Yeah.
So.
And, I mean, it's been a roller coaster type season, that's for sure. But it's not over.
No.
I mean, Bill McDermott, he probably needs to make this playoffs, or he will be fired.
Yeah. So before we get to our picks, bring up coaching. Let's talk about some coaching stuff here for a second. Jack Del Rio out in Washington as defensive coordinator. Fast forward to Monday, Frank Reich fired as head coach in Carolina after not even a full year. Obviously, those guys are just the second and third coaches fired so far this year. Obviously, Josh McDaniel, crazily enough, pretty much a month ago at this point.
Steelers 1-0 without Matt Canada?
Well, that's true, Matt Canada. So I guess 3-4. I forget about Matt Canada, but the NFL coaching carousel this year is going to be really interesting. I don't want to say he's going to be fired, but it sounds like Wink Martindale's probably going to be done with the Giants at the end of the year. Sounds like there's a lot of friction between himself and pretty much everybody else around him. The wild part is, like, the Giants' defense hasn't been that bad the past few weeks, so it's like you can't really fire him in that sense, but crazier things have happened. Anyway, the one that really caught me off guard the most is probably Frank Reich, but we've kind of seen this now with the Panthers and their owner, John Tepper, where it's like he doesn't have patience, clearly. I think probably a lot of people don't know this outside of maybe people in Charlotte and maybe North Carolina. Tepper also owns the Charlotte MLS club, and they've existed for 18 months, and they're on, I believe, their third head coach. So,
really?
Yeah. Something tells me you can't be blaming the players necessarily in this situation. You can't be blaming maybe the coaches in this situation. Something tells me there might be some meddling going on, and we know that already, as is with Tepper, that he's one of the most meddling owners in the leagues.
Who would want that job?
Well, it's interesting, right? Because head coaching jobs, right, especially the NFL, if you're a coordinator, that's what you usually want. That's what you want in life. And Carolina perceives to be a good job, I think, on paper because, one, you got a young team. Two, hard to beat Charlotte overall at the moment. And obviously personal stuff, you get a little less on the tax boot compared to other places. But you don't want to go deal with that owner. And that's a huge red flag going into this offseason. Is who you're going to get if you're Carolina.
What if they don't?
Yeah. Right.
What if they don't get a coach? Nobody wants it.
Somebody will take it, right? I mean, somebody.
It's a good pay raise, yeah.
It'd be interesting. Sean McDermott, hypothetically, got the mean juice there from Carolina back in the day with him.
Ooh, that's the death sentence for
John Fox.
That'd be a death sentence for McDermott, though.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Gets fired from the Bills, and what? Next year he gets fired from the Panthers?
Right.
Who's going to hire him after that? Nah, he shouldn't do that.
Yeah, but it's going to be a tough job, I think.
I didn't get the Frank Wright hiring anyway. So, he was so bad at Colts.
Yeah, but Phillip Rivers doesn't get hurt. He's probably still coaching Indianapolis at this point.
I mean,
you gotta be honest. You gotta be honest with yourself on that one.
I'll be honest.
Oh, okay.
I'm sticking with my word.
Okay. Do you?
But I just don't. People are always like, oh, he's got potential to be a great head coach. Well, he's lost a lot, so I don't know. Should he have been fired after 11 games? No. At least give him a couple years. But I just don't think he should have been hired. But
fair enough. Yeah.
They're pretty bad right now, so I don't know who they would get. Bring Matt Rule back.
He's got a good thing going to Nebraska. I don't see that happening. All right.
Should have gone to Syracuse.
Yeah. We'll touch on that. Before we do that, picks, Nick. And speaking of things rarely or having patience or whatever, we have a change in the leaderboard. I have taken the lead with a 9-7 record last week. I'm now up 1 game on you after you went 6-10 last week.
Jeez.
That is gross, Nick.
Yeah, I'm falling apart.
Any explanation for last week?
What was it, about 5-6 weeks ago? You asked me what my secret was.
Mm-hmm.
Do the opposite of that. That's how you'll be good.
So for pros, we are fading Nick, and for college, we are potentially fading me. We'll find out though in a little bit. Okay, Nick. So 6 teams on a bye this week: Baltimore, Chicago, Vegas, Minnesota, Buffalo, and your Giants. By the way, Tommy DeVito.
Washington next
Yes.
week, right? They're the last buys.
They're one of them, yeah. So,
Too bad.
okay, let's get into it, Nick. Thursday night football, Seattle at Dallas. Dallas 9-point favorites at home. I'll get my end out of the way with, and this will probably be quick for both of us. I'm going to take Dallas. They appear to be at least moderately good. You have to admit. It's interesting because not a lot of people have them in their top 5 teams in the league right now, and it really does pain me to say it. But like, how can you not at the moment just by everybody else kind of around them? So I'm going Dallas here.
No more clowning around. Going Dallas.
Attaboy. Yeah, no, so much for not picking them, eh?
Yeah, I got to win this thing.
All
I
right.
had a nice lead there.
Sunday, 1 p.m. gets going with the Chargers at the Patriots. Patriots are 6-point dog at home.
Chargers.
Yeah, I got to go with Chargers as well. It's interesting. Wanted to talk about the practicing here quickly. The Patriots had Bailey Zappi and Malik Cunningham taking the reps today at quarterback. Mac Jones didn't even bother looking.
Really?
Yeah,
What was he
Mac
doing?
Jones was just kind of standing behind them on the sidelines.
Wow.
Yeah, so I don't know what's going on, but it appears as though the Mac Jones era in New England might be over officially. Detroit at New Orleans. New Orleans getting 4.5 at home. I will, however, take the road favorite here and take Detroit, especially after the Saints. How the hell did they lose to the Falcons last weekend?
Falcons are good, man. It's Detroit and who?
The Saints.
Detroit.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
So we are following with each other. Atlanta at the Jets. The Jets are 2.5-point home dogs.
Unfortunately, I'm going to go with Atlanta.
I'm going to stick with my guns here and not physically take the Falcons. I'm taking the Jets
You're
here.
tired of picking the Falcons.
What team are they going to show up with this week? You just don't know. Clearly last week,
What is their record?
they even, look, Bijan Robinson even got the ball again somehow and into the end zone. Like, what the hell? The record, I don't know, good enough to still be in the hunt for the South with them in New Orleans kind of manning the charge with that in a way. And I don't know. I mean, Tampa Bay's in there. That division's whack.
Yeah.
Arizona at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, 5.5-point favorites at home. I don't know if I'm a big fan of this. I kind of feel like it's a rock and a hard place type game. I'm going to go Pittsburgh only because you just don't know what the weather can fully develop to be like. And Arizona's coming east. Indoor team coming outside. So I'll take Pittsburgh. I guess I'll take them to ride that momentum of a Kenny Pickett 400-yard game and then maybe follow it up with another one.
Give me the Cardinals.
Oh.
I like them on the road. Don't know why. Kyler Murray.
Okay.
Pittsburgh's back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah, they are. Indianapolis at Tennessee. Tennessee, a point dog at home. Ugh.
I like the playoff Colts.
Yeah, I'm playoff Colts, eh? I'm taking the Colts as well. I don't know about playoff Colts thing. That's a
Playoffs?
like yeah. If they got into the playoffs at this point, it'd be interesting. Obviously, like you said, they're the 7th seed right now, but I have a hard time believing they actually get there. Either way. Miami at Washington. Washington getting 9.5 at home.
And you're not going to the game.
I'm not going to the game. I'm not taking Washington either. I'm taking Miami. The 9.5 is an interesting spot if you lean that way, but obviously with us picking head-to-head, just take the better team here and take Miami.
What's the plans? I mean, for those people who don't know, Paul's brother is a Dolphins fan.
Well, I'll be over at your house presumably for Red Zone.
Is Pat coming?
I don't know. Probably has to work.
Yeah, it just so happens to work on the Dolphins Washington day. I'm also going to take the Dolphins, too.
You're a man of good faith, Nick.
Fins up.
Denver at Houston. Houston, 3.5-point favorites at home.
Give me Houston a bounce back. Denver's playing well, but give me Houston in a bounce back.
Agreed. I'm taking Houston as well here.
Interesting.
C.J. Stroud, MVP, Rookie of the Year,
Rookie of the year.
Cy Young,
Coach of the year.
Coach of the Year. There we go. Sixth Man of the Year. All right. The lone 4:05 game in the late window is Carolina at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay 5.5-point favorites rather. I'm gonna take Tampa Bay here, but this is probably gonna be that spot where it's the old we have a new coach thing and the Panthers will win.
How dare you?
Yeah.
Give me Carolina.
I took your thunder.
Give me them, man. I don't care who the interim is. They're going to win this game.
Okay. What about the first 4:25 game out of the couple that we have there? Cleveland at the Rams. The Rams are 3.5-point favorites.
Is Cooper Kupp still out?
I think
Cleveland's interesting.
they got dinged up bad though.
Yeah, they looked bad last week. But Rams are pretty bad. I'm going to go Cleveland.
I've been on the fence about this one all day.
P.J. Walker back?
Joe Flacco starting for the Browns.
Never thought
We'll
I'd ever.
finally figure out if he's actually elite or not on Sunday. I'm going to take Cleveland as well, only because the Rams' offense is a mystery. Their defense is bad. At least Cleveland's defense, we know, even with Myles Garrett out, is still good. So I guess I'll take the Browns to – I'll also give you a score. I'll take the Browns to win 6-3.
Great game.
Great
That's another
game.
good one.
Yes. The last of the late window, San Fran at Philly. And this was the one game where the lines are so all over the place, I couldn't even figure out a middle ground if there was a multiple spread options. I've seen the Eagles are dogs no matter what, but I've seen books as low as 1.5 for the Eagles up to 3.5. So that should tell you all you need to know about this game. I'm going to take the home dog here in Philly.
Why,
This
Paul?
is interesting that this is your lie game. I appreciate you asking. Here's the deal. San Fran coming east. A bit of a long week, though. They kind of obviously have that not true bye, but you have the extended break because they played Thursday night. But Philly just keeps finding these ways to win games at the moment, and there's like no inexplicable reason in a way. It's one of those things where I feel like no matter what, this is some sort of rematch we'll be seeing in a month and a half, no matter what. Or I guess month and a half, technically, because we aren't in December yet, even though it feels like it. So I'm going to take Philly. I just think their offense just kind of not flowing better, but they're making it work. Defensively, again, I think this might be the one game where you see people really be able to stop Christian McCaffrey. But the question becomes then, and we haven't seen him struggle this side of the ball too much in a while. But does Brock Purdy step up in the passing game then?
It is at Philly.
Yep. That's
But I like San Francisco in this game because they are the NFC's best team.
Sunday Night Football, Nick, Kansas City at Green Bay. Green Bay 6.5-point dogs.
Kansas City.
I agree with you. They're 110%. Should not be a question in my mind. Sunday night. Monday night, Cincinnati at Jacksonville. Jacksonville 8.5-point favorites at home. Taking Jacksonville. This is probably going to be a really bad game visually to watch. So
Jacksonville. I did hear we have a doubleheader Monday night next week.
That's right. They do return next week. So.
I'm sorry. I got to get a glass of water real quick.
Oh yeah, you good?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have at it.
We started college football.
Okay, I'll begin my college football. Nick is going to be indisposed for a few moments here, and he will return momentarily. College football. What a fun rivalry weekend that we were able to have. It's tough because I want to wait for Nick to come back, but hey, that's part of it. The interesting part to me about this past rivalry weekend began Thursday night. The Egg Bowl was the Egg Bowl. There's no other way to inexplicably explain things there. Figured it was going to be a shootout. Was not. Ends up being 17-7. And did you lock the door, Nick? That's part of it, man. Get back in here. Sit on down.
Gatorade went down my throat the wrong way.
Oh, geez, brutal. So I wanted to start with rivalry week here, Nick, and I wanted to wait for you to get back here a little bit for a couple of the games.
I'm
obviously,
back.
to
I'm
discuss. But since you're back, what are your thoughts on the Egg Bowl?
Egg Bowl is was who? That's Texas A&M.
No.
Egg Bowl is don't let me get it.
Yep, I'm letting you cook.
Florida, Georgia.
Nope.
I don't know. Egg Bowl. What conference?
The SEC.
Egg Bowl. Mississippi State.
Yeah, all right.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the Egg Bowl.
But it's interesting. That game's now gone under 3 straight years, and that's probably going to change Saturday next year with the coaching hire that Mississippi State made. But, yeah, and then you'll get through some of those games on Friday, get to Saturday when really a lot of the high-end games end up taking off. The game, Ohio State, Michigan.
I hate when people say that.
I
The
know.
game.
The game. The Ohio State University loss.
I hate that too.
So do I. That's why I did it for the preface of them losing, though, for a change.
Third year in a row.
Yeah, kind of crazy. Kind of puts Ryan Day in the hot seat inadvertently. Yeah, what'd you make of that game? As we'll touch on.
Did watch that.
That was the main game in the early window, obviously. So what did you make of
The game.
that game?
That game. Kind of surprised. Thought Ohio State was going to win.
Agree. Yeah.
But it's always a good game. I mean, these two teams are good. I mean, they're good. They're good teams. They're competitive because they're about the same type of team. So we're in for a good game. It was a great game for last year was a blowout, I'm pretty sure, but 2 years ago was a good game.
Yeah.
Last year was the blowout, and they still made it. Is that correct? It was 2 years ago the blowout.
No, 2 years ago was a blowout.
Okay, because they made it last year still. Now you're going to be questioning Ohio State. Should they be in? There's a lot of teams in the mix. I don't think they're going to get in because they don't have another game. That's how important this game is because right now the rest of the Big Ten is not very good other than maybe Penn State. Maybe.
Oh, that's who you're going with?
Is it somebody else?
Iowa?
Yeah, that's that.
Hello?
They know how to put points on the scoreboard.
I want to save my Iowa talk for when I make my picks because we have a very unique situation this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, how does you become a 23-point underdog and the over/under is 35.5?
Yep.
But we'll figure out how they can cover both of those. But
You don't cover an over/under, Nick.
you can.
Do tell.
Yeah, the game was good. Gus Johnson on the call made it better.
Maserati Marv.
Gus Johnson shout out called the Knicks game the other day.
That's right.
First time in basketball, NBA basketball in a while. But overall, the Iron Bowl is always a classic. Auburn game will run for the money. I mean, should have won that game. Shoulda, coulda, woulda, but it didn't happen. Alabama got the win. Alabama just won't die. They just won't go away. I don't know if Alabama's going to sneak in because of the teams. Because I think Oklahoma's going to win. You're going to have the Pac-12 winner. You have Michigan State or Michigan. Finally, they'll probably win.
Potentially.
And I don't see them taking an SEC team out. So that's why I think Alabama, if they do beat Georgia, they'll be in, and Georgia will be out.
You think Alabama, in theory, will jump 4 spots at minimum to get into the playoff?
Yes.
Wow.
This is Alabama. Because
Roll Tide. I guess.
Washington or Oregon would lose, so they're gone. Who's the other one? I know Texas. Is there another one? Or is
Florida State.
Florida State. Yes. They'll jump Florida State.
Wow.
They will jump Florida State because they don't play anybody. And they'll jump Texas because Texas doesn't have a Georgia win. Yes, they beat Alabama head-to-head, but this is Alabama, and I don't know. I don't see them beating Georgia and leaving them out.
Okay. Well, we'll circle back to that, I guess, next
Yeah, that
week.
Florida
fully.
State really screws it up. It's like, you know they're going to get killed.
I don't think so.
They
But
don't have a
we'll get
quarterback.
to that.
They don't have a
They
quarterback.
won without him this past weekend.
Against who?
Florida.
Oh, great. Good for them.
But you make it sound like just because freaking Jordan's out that it's like some big deal. Like, now,
Settle down,
I'm just
ACC.
saying, I'm just
Settle
saying.
down.
Oh, don't ACC me. Have your team pick a lane. All right.
Settle down. I mean, not get too hard on Florida State, but come on.
Man.
When they play Georgia or whoever they play, they're going to get crushed. And crushed, I mean 20 points.
Speaking of crushing in SEC teams, the highlight of the 3:30 window, Iron Bowl, hands down. Hugh Freeze, I laugh at you. Ha ha. Again, go back to something I brought up, right? Prevent defense prevents you from winning. They had Alabama, 4th and 31. By the way, longest 4th down conversion to win a game ever in football history.
Football.
Since they've been able to record stuff like that. I mean, who knows what might have happened in 1899, but
It was pretty crazy.
absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts. I was I was at the casino after the Syracuse game, which we'll circle back to here in a couple moments, and we were watching, and I was like, that game really just ended that way. Like, it was crazy. Absolutely nuts, especially, Milroe can't control the snap, ball scoots away, and it's looking like, it's done because obviously they need the touchdown. And Auburn pretty much loses a kid and gets back to him one-on-one coverage at that point, and you're doomed if you're defense in that situation because you bump him or anything like that while the ball's in the air in a one-on-one, it's going to be a free play, and because it's in the end zone, it's going to be at the 1-yard line. I mean, it was about the most Auburn loss to have ever had an Auburn loss, the way it went down. And it frankly, and I disagree with you maybe in the grand scheme of it, but you can't ignore the fact that that play saved Alabama's season.
It did. It really did. I mean, if they lose that game, we're gone. You're not going no Final Four, that's for sure. And right now, there's still a slim chance, but I think there's a chance where I could see them getting in with a win over Georgia. But
Georgia.
we got a lot of good conference championship games this weekend. The one I'm catching most eye on is not the Georgia-Alabama game.
You want to hold that thought for a moment? Because there is a couple things I want to touch on before
I
we
don't want
get
to lose it,
those.
though.
All right, fair
Okay,
enough.
I got it. No, I'm just kidding.
Go ahead. The nightcap punctuated by the Apple Cup in the final Pac-12 after dark. The Pac-12 as we know it. I mean, really it's done, but as we know it's done. Pour one out. Pains me. Pains me that the Pac-12 after dark is no more.
Final Pac-12 game this Friday
Championship, yeah.
for football.
The final game on the Pac-12 network for football? Stanford and Notre Dame. How about it?
Wow, really?
Yeah. So, pain. The shout out to the Pac-12. Got me through a lot of dark nights in college and the early adulthood life of doing things here. But in all seriousness, really was fun. It got me my first introduction to sports betting, more or less. Frankly, was Pac-12 after dark. So, shout out to the Pac-12 and honestly the last two true remaining members, Washington State and Oregon State. Salute, brothers. So. All right, let's get to some Syracuse stuff.
Big East, Pac-12, they're going to go.
Yeah, let's get to the Syracuse stuff first. Syracuse gets bowl eligibility.
Yeah, that's right.
Wins over Wake Forest. And then yesterday, Fran Brown named a new head coach. So before you end up asking me the question, I'll ask you the question. Did you know who Fran Brown was? And secondly, what's your kind of just quick hitting thought on the hire?
Me and Fran, we've been buddies for a long time. Been around the media.
Dear friend.
He's a dear friend. No idea who he is. No idea what he's going to bring to the table. But it's a new coach and a new face, so we'll see what Syracuse football, see if there's any changes made here. And he's the Georgia what?
Defensive backs coach.
Defensive backs coach. Didn't want to go for the linebackers coach.
I mean, I don't know.
Defensive backs.
Mhm.
What defensive backs are in the NFL? Georgia. The defensive ends we need. We need you got the wrong coach. They got the wrong guy.
No, they got the right guy.
You like him.
I
Love
love
the Holy Cross coach.
I love the hire. Okay. Fran Brown, Northeast ties from Jersey, has coached in the Northeast. It's where he got his coaching start in the Northeast. Temple, Rutgers, went to Baylor, Matt Rule umbrella, Kirby Smart umbrella, #1 recruiter in the country. Fran Brown. I think for Syracuse, high risk, high reward. And they got to do it, though, because it's sink or swim time for the program in terms of relevancy, in terms of where college football is going. Look, they're bottom of the barrel in the ACC. They could go 8-4, 9-3, and still be bottom of the barrel because it's Syracuse. All right? But you want to know what? If you want to regain relevancy, you have to bring players in. You have to get the guys who are from, maybe not your backyard, but from New Jersey that they were losing, from Pennsylvania that they were losing. To me, this is perfect. This is a guy who can go out and get those 3-star, maybe the occasional 4-star from going from, say, Penn State, where it's like you might have to wait 2 years, to immediately competing at a big, high level in Syracuse. This is a guy who I think can flip the pipeline instead of going to Maryland or Central Florida to coming back to Syracuse. Slam dunk hire in my mind. Now, the key parts, who are coordinators going to be? Who are the people going to be around him? Because he has to probably build for the fact that there's going to be some deficiencies with him head coaching. Sounds like Jason Beck probably is not coming back as OC, which is a shame. So he's got to bring in an OC who's good. And it sounds like he might be bringing some guys from Georgia with him, coaching-wise. That will remain to be seen. But, he's a DB coach, so that tells me he probably wants to keep the 3-3-5 or something close to it. Does Rocky Long stay at that point? I don't know. But if you're Fran Brown, I think you have to keep him around. So there's a lot to be seen. We'll know more, I think, next Monday when he has his press conference up here.
It's Monday.
Yeah, because he's coaching still Georgia at least this Saturday in the SEC championship game. So I think it's great. Obviously, I think Bob Chesney would have been an interesting hire. It kind of sounds like it came down to those two plus Jason Candle from Toledo, which I don't know if I would have been on board with Candle as much as I would have been with, obviously in this case, Fran Brown or Chesney, but it is what it is in that front. I think it's a slam dunk deal. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You didn't set the program back too much anyway, in my mind, from what you want to do. And at the end of the day, I think there's a lot of momentum still around this team. I think there's some talent there that can be built upon.
Will he coach in the bowl game?
Yeah, that's the interesting part in this, right? Is I don't know if he'll coach in the bowl game. I think personally, I'd keep Nunzio Campanelli as the interim for that. It sounds like Nunzio was going to stick around with Fran Brown. I mean, they were both at Rutgers at the same time. So I would love for Nunzio to stick around. I think that's huge, too, for recruiting. Nunzio handles a lot of the New Jersey recruits, so that would be pretty big in my mind. And ultimately, the way I've been describing it, the way I want to tell it to people is this. This isn't 1955 anymore. Your traditional methods of coaching in college drastically different than where they were even 2 years ago. The expectation that Syracuse fans need to have is not 12-0. I'd love for them to go 12-0. I'd be ecstatic at 12-0. That ain't going to happen anytime soon, or if at all. But you want to have a guy in here who's averaging 8-4s and 9-3s with the occasional 10-2s and 11-1s. And I think that's possible at Syracuse. I legitimately do. But the expectation that people have where 11-1 is the down year at Syracuse are absurd. And that's why, and that to me, is where a lot of these people are complaining about the hire. You just don't get it.
Yeah.
It's not Michigan State in Nebraska fighting year in and year out for championships anymore. You know, like, you have to go about things differently. You have to. And unfortunately, we thought that with Dino, and it just didn't happen. And to me, with Fran, is a sign of we're going to take this risk. We're going to try and get with the times. And if it doesn't work, we'll just reset and try it again. It is what it is at that point. So, I don't know.
Best of luck.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Conference title time, championships before we get to my picks full here because of the unique situation.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Didn't mean to interrupt your thoughts there earlier with that, but
Yeah.
this is such a fun weekend because it's just the best of the best in each conference are put on the biggest stage. And
how long have they been doing this now?
I mean, this style for the better part of like 10-ish years, give or take.
Yeah, not that long.
I'd say. No, but it's long enough now that we have this notebook where it's a lot of fun. You have a couple games Friday night, obviously through the day Saturday.
It used to be just the regular season champ.
Right.
Was the
Well, for some conferences. Some conferences did have a title game before.
Where's the playoffs?
I can't remember. Big East had a title game for
Why not a
Northern.
semifinals? What don't we get?
And not in that will definitely not be happening. But I always look forward to this weekend. It's a fun weekend because obviously, like you said, best of best is put on the big stage. You get to see a lot of these smaller conferences, the G5s. They're put on a bigger stage too, and it's a lot of good eyes on a lot of good players. And this year especially, there's some implications on the line. I mean, there always is, but this year especially, I mean, you kind of indicated it for yourself that there's a little bit of implications coming down the pipe in your mind for this weekend. So
Yeah, my number one game to watch out. I like that it's Friday night, the Pac-12 championship, be the last Pac-12 game, and it's essentially a playing game. Washington, Oregon, winner of that game is in. The loser's out. So their playoff starts right now.
Yeah.
And Ohio State, Michigan, they looked at last week. It was their first play-in game too, and Michigan got it done. But if Michigan loses to Iowa, they're gone. You can't lose to Iowa.
Right.
So I'm intrigued by that one too, but you're intrigued by the spread?
Yeah, that game's very intriguing. So do you want me to get into my picks then?
Yeah.
Is that what you're doing? So I was 3-2 last week. Gets me to a true 500 record at the moment, 35-2.
500 and there's only a couple weeks left.
Yeah. Well, we're going to do something for the bowl games. I haven't figured out, again, how I'm going to do that, but
Well, just
I have a little
pick
bit
the
to do
bowl
that.
games that are going on that week.
So I am picking all 10 conference championship games this week because damn the torpedoes. Begin Friday with the CUSA, New Mexico State at Liberty, one of three conferences where the higher seed hosts the event. CUSA has that with Liberty. I'm taking Liberty -10 in that game. Friday night, the Pac-12 championship, as you already mentioned, Nick. Oregon versus Washington. Taking Washington +9.5.
What is that spread?
Don't know.
Why?
Yeah.
They beat them.
Oregon's has been playing better lately, so
Michael
I'm guessing
Penix
that's
all right.
why.
He didn't look too good at the end of that game. What happened there?
He was doing some interesting stuff, that's for sure. Apple Cup gonna Apple Cup. All right, Saturday, Big 12, Oklahoma State versus Texas. I'm taking Texas -14.5. In the MAC, Miami is going against Toledo. I'm taking Miami +7.5. Toledo's been messing around a lot lately and hasn't found out. I think they're going to find out Saturday. The Mountain West, Boise State versus UNLV, also in Vegas. They're right on the heels of the Pac-12 game the night before. Short turnaround for the boys in the Allegiant Stadium, the grounds crew there. I'm going to take UNLV getting 2.5 in that game. Doesn't make a ton of sense to me that they're a dog in that game, but Boise State's been playing good since they fired their head coach a few weeks ago, so who knows. In the SEC, Georgia versus Alabama. I'm taking Alabama +5.5. I don't necessarily agree with your chaos theory that they'll get in, but I actually do think they'll win. They've been, I think, head-to-head against Georgia this year. This is Georgia's toughest test, hands down. They're going to find out, I think. In the American, SMU at Tulane. I'm going to take SMU +4 here. I've been high on Tulane all year, but the SMU offense is really good, and I think if they're going to shoot out, I think it leans heavy into the Mustangs' favor. Sunbelt, Appalachian State at Troy. I'm taking Troy -6, but that's the one where I wouldn't be surprised if App State won outright. App State's by far been playing their best ball all year the past month. Troy, been in a couple dogfights recently, but I'll take them with the home field advantage. Big Ten, Michigan versus Iowa. I'm taking Iowa plus 23.5. Do I think they win outright? No, but hard to ignore 23.5 with their defense as good as it is.
I like the under.
The under 35.5? I don't mind that. Interesting little side bet here. Iowa, first half total points is only half a point, and it's plus money last I looked.
For the point.
Yeah. I feel like you have to take the over.
Yeah, what the hell?
Yeah, so
It's a point?
right. And then the final game, the ACC, Louisville versus Florida State. Taking Florida State minus 2.5. Louisville lost to Kentucky last week. They shouldn't have.
That's pretty
On
low
paper,
line.
they shouldn't have.
Pretty low spread.
Yeah. So I'm going to take Florida State. Backup quarterback, Rodemaker. He looks all right. Appeared no worse for wear after that hit against Florida. So give me Florida State.
Interesting. Nice.
Before we get here, a couple minutes here on a couple different basketball news and notes. NBA in-season tournament locked up. Nick, do that again. Your Knicks, they're in the in-season tournament. How about it?
Well, we all made the end season tournament. This is the quarterfinals.
I don't care. They made the in-season tournament.
Yeah, we're in the quarterfinals now. Crazy last night. Did you see any games?
Yes.
Crazy. I mean, people were leaving in their starting fives, up 30, 20 points, blowout games, and they kept running up the score because they had to. Because the Celtics and the Knicks had to score points to get the point differential for the Celtics in their case to win their group and the Knicks to get the wild card. And it was absolutely mayhem. And there was so many things that could change. Like, could they win the group? Could you get a wild card?
Right.
And it just shifts it. If the Bucks didn't win, they had a 19-point lead on the Knicks, but if they didn't win because of how everything worked out, they would have been out. They wouldn't even won the group. I don't know if they would have been out. They might have been out.
Yeah, I mean, the Celtics were intentionally fouling up 30
Yeah.
to, like, guarantee that they
I don't
would.
think Billy Donovan liked it.
I don't think he liked it. I mean, there's a lot of teams that aren't fans of what's kind of been going on with it. I know that. Yeah, the Heat got eliminated last night. Tough spot. It's interesting because I think you were caught off guard, but yeah, I mean, now that you just have people, now you have to try and schedule 2 games for the other teams here, more or less, and I can't believe people are kind of taken aback by it, one, but yeah, like, my main concern now is for these players and teams that aren't in, like, I'm assuming you get 1 home and 1 away game, or however it's going to work.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, so they
yeah, I mean, I'm intrigued to see how, like, the travel works with this and everything else, like who you're going to play. I mean, obviously, I'm guessing you're going to play somebody that was technically in your group, but, like, I'm not too sure. Like, there's a lot to.
Yeah, so
kinda
the
wonder
schedule
about.
came out. I don't know if it was late last night or this morning. So next week's schedule, there's no game on Sunday.
Right.
Monday and Tuesday's the quarterfinals. Wednesday's a full slate of games of everyone who didn't make
Right.
the quarterfinals. Thursday is the semifinals. Friday is another whole slate of games of the teams that didn't make the quarterfinals. And then Saturday's the championship. Whoever makes the championship is an extra regular season game for
Which,
this.
oh, by the way, it's in Vegas, a neutral site, which, like, I don't know.
So is Thursday, right?
Yeah.
Thursday games are in Vegas.
Mhm.
Monday and Tuesday are at the better seed or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, we'll see how I've enjoyed it so far. I think they can make a lot of improvements with it. But I think it's pretty cool. I mean, why stop at quarterfinals? You know, why not have a best of 12 or something? You know, at least have like the top 2 from each group move on. Like, there's some 3-1 teams that didn't even move on.
Right.
It's kind of like, what do you have to do?
Right.
I mean, 3-1.
I mean, that's what
They
pretty much.
deserve to move
That's
on.
what pretty much happened with the Heat. Like, once they just got down by enough last night against the Bucks, I know Spo pulled a couple guys. It's like not even worth it. So it's like, yeah. No, I'm with you there though.
It'll be interesting when it gets here. Thursday's times are a little strange to me. 5 o'clock's the first game in Vegas.
Yeah.
That's not friendly. Like,
No,
not a friendly time for a Thursday night.
it's not a friendly time period.
And the other one's
You know?
at 8.
Yeah. So.
Saturdays will be all right. It's a Saturday night game. And then, obviously night games are on Monday and Tuesday. But I think it's interesting. I didn't realize I'm so confused what the regular season game. So even Thursday's semifinal game is a regular season game. And technically Saturday says, but those teams just get extra
But
games.
the stats don't count.
They don't.
It's wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the most absolutely dumb stuff
I don't
in that sense.
I don't care about stats that much.
LeBron does.
Yeah, whatever. But yeah, minutes. The minutes leader now. But yeah, I didn't realize they were going to add in 2 full slated games. So those don't know where they came. Like you said, I don't know where they came up with these matchups.
Yeah.
For Wednesday and Friday's games for the team that didn't make it. They're there. Fantasy, it's interesting. You got a star player like you got the Greek Freak, right? He gets knocked out on Monday, or they play Tuesday against the Knicks. Gets knocked out. You get 1 game out of him next week's matchup. That's kind of the odds better be in your favor.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I don't agree with the fantasy being played next week, but
It's whatever. I wanted to talk college basketball. We're pretty much up against the clock here, so we're going to have to kind of break. There wasn't a ton to talk about. I just wanted to see kind of what your reaction was from the tournament side of things. And there wasn't a ton of super duper upsets. I mean, we've had some, but I think a lot of it just kind of reiterated the fact that like you have, your good teams are good again this year. I think if anything, maybe Kentucky kind of jumps out to me a little bit. Like I didn't expect them to be as good as they've shown early on, but like last night against Miami, they looked really good. They also, I think, they're second in the country in turnover rate, which is something that a Calipari team has never done, whether it's been at Kentucky, Memphis, or UMass. So that's pretty interesting. But yeah, not a ton. I just wanted to see maybe what your quick reaction was to the tournaments, and now we're kind of within now the interconference challenges and stuff like that.
Purdue made a statement last week with the Maui.
Definitely.
Syracuse, was nice to just get some confidence against Chaminade.
Yeah.
They played
Translated well against LSU.
Played tough. The SEC, ACC challenge, pretty similar to the Big Ten SEC or ACC challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little weird to see these matchups.
Yeah.
Notre Dame, South Carolina, LSU at the Dome. When does LSU ever go to the Dome?
Right.
So it's just cool to see those type of matchups. Syracuse, nice statement game last night. Not sure how good LSU is, but Kentucky made a statement against Miami. Yeah, tonight you have the wrap up tonight. So I always like those type of challenges, and then after
What
that,
is it, Duke, Arkansas tonight? Like, that's a good matchup.
yeah, North Carolina, or is it Duke, Arkansas?
Yeah.
Might be Duke, Arkansas.
Yeah.
I forget what it is. Arkansas is playing it.
UNC probably got Missouri or something.
I know UNC and Duke is on TV tonight.
Yeah.
I did see that, but no, it's cool. This is kind of the downtime of college basketball these next few weeks here before the holidays.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, the ACC has conference games on Saturday, but
yeah,
it's weird.
This week's nice because you have the challenge and you have your first ACC game this weekend.
Yeah, and that's back. I know, like Syracuse has Cornell next week, and then they do have a cool game though coming up, but that's more for next week when they're playing Oregon at the what's it called, the Pentagon in Sioux Falls. So
they got the Georgetown game too.
Yeah, so
but then once the new year hits, it's ACC play. So
before that,
yeah, a little bit before
December 30th. Happy birthday, LeBron.
Happy birthday, Andrew.
It's true, at Tiger Woods.
Speaking of Tiger, he's back this week.
Yeah, how about that? Is that who you're shouting out today?
Actually, I had a new shout out today.
Oh.
I don't know how I can have a new shout out after all these years,
But you do.
I'm going to shout out my first animal.
Oh. Okay.
Jack DeRue. Good friend of
Oh,
mine.
that's right. I should have known this was coming.
Dog's name is Ellie or Ella.
Yeah.
Ellie or Ella. Anyway, had 7 puppies yesterday morning.
Congratulations.
So, shout out Ellie or Ella.
Almost had them at your house.
Yeah, no, it was planned, but yeah, almost did have it. But shout out to the DeRue's dog for having 7 puppies yesterday morning.
Congratulations.
Yeah, good for her. Good dog. Pet's well. Feels good.
Well.
They don't get to keep the
No.
puppies, but
Oh, they don't?
no,
What a shame. Either way,
but they get to keep the dog.
that's good. Nick, appreciate you.
Yep.
Appreciate everybody for tuning in, wherever you may be tuning in from. We'll be back next Wednesday where we do it all again, and hopefully, we'll know where everybody's bowling and all the matchups. So we'll talk with everybody next Wednesday.